We're a little late today because we couldn't find anything to talk about, but we're ready to go on this Monday. It's time for the Daily News Report with Rebekah Roth and Ramjet.
March 2nd, 2026. We are currently in roughly hour 55, maybe hour 56 as we're recording this. 55 hours into what appears to be rapidly expanding into a world war. And a lot of people in this country have no idea what's going on. Because it's not happening here. It's not happening in your town. It's not happening. And the media is very dishonest. So what I want to do with this show, and probably for a few more shows, just because it is history, record this daily show as an MP3, and I'll probably load this up into the YouTube channel because it's history. And because you're not getting any information. And for those of you who are listening that are young, I'm a boomer. I supported Trump. I was very hopeful, and I have turned. No way in hell. I'm shocked. I'm just totally shocked what he's done. Even though in writing the book series about 9/11, I found all this. I am not shocked by who's controlling him. He had me fooled, though, like lots of other people. And what I see now on social media is that people very much like myself. I know there's younger people out there, the boomers. There are a group of people, but, I know some of those people that have now turned against Trump. And I'm pretty sure the polling you're going to see a week into this war is going to be disastrous for him. RJ, what do you think? I mean, he's like a 36% approval rating at this point, and that was before this war.
Well, I noticed that the mainstream media, when they talk about the polls, they recognize the fact that he's declined substantially since he was elected. But they always use the very best poll they can possibly find. And I've seen polls out that say his approval rating is 39%. That's not even anywhere close to true. That is the best they can possibly do. Well, if you look at the worst they can possibly do, it's in the 20s. Yeah.
The reason for that is the same Zionists that want this war control all of our media. All of our media. The Ellisons just bought CNN over the last couple days. So everything you get from every mainstream media, and you see a lot of the fake alternative media, they're dishonest too, and they're promoted by Bibi Netanyahu's Zionist thought train. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to cover a bunch of stuff that I started saving yesterday, which was like barely 36 hours into this war, into a file to have for this daily show, and we're probably going to just cut this off into segments of like 1 hour, roughly 1 hour segments. And I'm just going to keep following this, and then I'll just keep things going because things are happening so rapidly. And I know people that have been getting their information, one being RJ's brother, that can't get any information from the mainstream media. So it's important that we document this, and my sources are coming mostly from Telegram, from about, 20, 30 channels that I follow, from people that either are based there, living in the Middle East, have family there, have direct connections to what's going on there. Just so you know, that's kind of where this is coming from. And some of it is posted that is from Reuters or from the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, and I will tell you who that is. It's important that you understand what is about to happen and where this could go and how fast, how rapidly it's going sideways. So I want to preserve these shows here for the beginning of this war, just because I think it's history, and I think a lot of people aren't getting the truth. So if I can get it up onto YouTube and it stays there, that's the key, because they own YouTube too. You guys can share it so that people understand what's going on. So now I have people contacting me about what's really happening, because this can't be right. This can't be right. And it's not right. The media is lying. They lied to you about 9/11. They lied to you about everything else. They're lying to you. Our government has been completely infiltrated by these Zionists. You can see it in Donald Trump, and if you followed along and you voted for him and you voted for no new wars, I bet you're just as pissed off as I am. Okay, so moving right along, and this is just the file is huge that I have. I started yesterday. Let's see, what do I want to say here? This is a link. It says it's a soundbite. I don't know if I want to talk about that. It's a soundbite. So I'm going to move right along here. So supposedly, and I will say this is from the Tasnim News, which is an Iranian newspaper. Just so I'm going to give you the source so you guys can look it up, or you can take it for what it's worth and consider that all sides of this could be putting out some form of propaganda. But you need to be able to hear both sides, and your government-controlled media in the United States is not telling you both sides, but I'm going to do that because that's where I get all my information, on not just from the mainstream news. The death of 6 senior Central Intelligence Agency officers in the United Arab Emirates. According to the information obtained following the IRGC's missile attack on the UAE yesterday, one of the residences of CIA officers was targeted, as a result of which 6 senior CIA officers were killed and 2 others were injured. News was published yesterday that the CIA headquarters in the United Arab Emirates were also targeted following the IRGC missile attack, from the Tasnim, Tasnim News in Iran. Take it for what it's worth, but they have struck several hotels where we have housed our Central Intelligence Agency officers and military. We evacuated bases throughout the Middle East because Iran said, if you target us, now we found out that this targeting was done by Bibi Netanyahu on New Year's Eve with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And the rest of the negotiations, RJ, were all a charade. What do you think of that?
I've known that for a while.
Yeah. So
and it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, we've been talking about this in the Daily Show. So if you're at BehindTheGalleyCurtain.com, you probably know a lot of this stuff we're gonna talk about. So this is fascinating stuff. Now, this is just a comment that somebody posted. And if I see a comment that I think it's interesting, it's kind of like taking the temperature of the public. It's how people think. But this is kind of an interesting story. Back in May of 2024, before the U.S. elections, a Beijing-based historian by the name of Zhang Xuan, maybe, not very good at Chinese, predicted 3 massive things that sounded insane at the time. But 2 of them have already hit. Actually, we're really probably close to number 3 too, but this is fascinating. He predicted in May of 2024, number 1, Trump will win the 2024 elections. Number 2, the United States will go to war against Iran. Number 3, this is our future. The United States will lose this war, which will forever change the global order. And it looks like, from listening to now, I spent the whole weekend in Telegram, occasionally on X, just looking to see what's the temperature, what people are thinking, saying, who they're siding with, what's going on. And the Telegram channels and some YouTube channels with some military people like Daniel Davis Deep Dive, listening to people like Larry Johnson, Danny Haifong's show. Who else did I listen to? Katie Halper, several YouTube channels. Nima Al-Khurshid, he's an Iranian in Brazil. Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, he was the chief of staff for Colin Powell Remember the yellow cake at the UN?
Of the things that I have listened to, I think the best things that I have heard over the weekend were anything Larry Johnson had to say and anything Alistair Crook had to say.
Alistair Crook, yeah.
And the judge has those people on this morning, and I would recommend that you would listen to what they have to say because it gives you a whole different perspective.
Alistair Crook, a former British diplomat who is actually living in Beirut somewhere, in the Beirut area. I don't know if he's in a suburb or if he's in the city. I'm not sure where he's at exactly, but so where he's coming from. Larry, former CIA analyst and State Department person. So, and also I think Larry served in the military. And Scott Ritter, another voice, Judge Napolitano's basically most of the people that he has on. So you kind of get an idea of what are ships? This is like Vietnam, man. This is like, it's way far away from here. And since I've been in Iran, I spent several months there. I travel to almost every place that's being bombed right now. So I feel every Tomahawk missile or whatever they're using against, it's the most incredible country ever. And the history and the architecture. And it's it's criminal what I see happening. It's very sad. But you should be listening to people like that, because one of the things I've grasped from this is that we, on our ships, our aircraft carriers, one is very broken down, around those ships is what's called a carrier group, and these are destroyers and like supply ships, and there's a certain number of Tomahawk missiles on each one of those. Roughly, 100 or so, give or take. And half of those have to be kind of saved up a little bit. They can't blow everything off. Maybe they will, though, because things are very different under Donald Trump and the Fox Weekend guy that's playing Mr. Tough Guy. The first thing that targeted was a elementary school for girls in Iran, and they killed all 170. What they did this morning, I saw before I even got up, as I still am gathering stuff from Telegram just for the show, is they bombed a child's playground. Tough guys. Tough guy, Don. Tough guy. I have zero respect, I'm sorry, for Donald Trump at this point. Pete Hegseth and the rest of them. It's so unbelievable. But the ramifications of this, one, we will lose the war. And let me just say this. If we think a tactical nuke on a city of 9 or 10 million people, Tehran, is going to be a win for us, we're wrong thinking that way. We're wrong. That is a loss of this war. And it looks like that's probably what's going to happen, because according to all these people, we might have enough weapons to shoot off like we have been for as little as 4 days. Now, we're starting the third day right now. Maybe 7 days, at the maximum 2 weeks. Iran has a lot more missiles. They're still in the using the old generation 1 and 2 missiles. They have some big boys coming. The most fascinating thing so far to me is the degree of lying that we've heard from Donald Trump. He apparently is going to give a speech today. I absolutely am to a point now, if I see a soundbite on social media or if I'm watching YouTube on a television that I can have my hand on the remote, I have to mute him. He literally makes me sick with what he's doing. The ramifications on the worldwide economy, not just world war, but the economy, is going to shake you to your core. And for those of you who've been around and you've been listening and sharing, be members of Behind the Galley Curtain for the last, 4 years or so, we have been working together, helping get ourselves prepped for just about anything they throw at us, from martial law to COVID to a war on our soil, which is more likely every day. You guys that have been here, you have your solar generators and your food and your water and your medicine and your over-the-counter stuff. And so everybody that's been here, but for those of you who haven't been here and you're maybe picking this up on YouTube, over on the membership site Behind the Galley Curtain, there's a couple pages there for getting prepped, how to get prepared for stuff. And I highly suggest if you're not a member, you might want to become one, and you can go back and listen to some of the stuff that we put together and get yourself ready because you're running out of time. This sucker's moving fast, man. So back to my file here. Sorry, I had to off on a tangent here. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So you have to understand this too. The Israelis are pushed by a religious ideology, and so there's a comment here that I'm assuming that this was about Netanyahu. He also talks about how the extremist leadership in Israel wants to accelerate events toward the final battle, believing that God will ensure they prevail and inherit the earth. Well, this is something that some of the people in the U.S. were saying about the Ayatollah, and they assassinated him, which was their religious leader in Iran. But this is also being said about Bibi Netanyahu and a lot of Zionist Christians, because they think the Jews think they're not Jews, but the I don't even know, they're not even Jews. These lunatics running Israel think that they need to get the whole world to hate them. Well, that's pretty easy because they're well on their way here for this. But they need to have this hate come on them by the whole world, and then they'll blow up the temple and the Dome of the Rock and build the temple for their Messiah, the Antichrist. So the 12ers, they're called the Shia Muslim. They believe when their 12th Imam comes, he comes with Jesus. They come hand in hand. So you've got two trains of thought here, and this comment actually works for everybody. So you've got this weird religion, the Zionist thing going on, where they need to have everyone in the world hate Israel. Imagine that. And then you've got this guy they just killed. By the way, RJ, the Ayatollah Khomeini, his wife just passed away, and his daughter also from the bombing attack on his residence the other morning. He also lost a 3-year-old granddaughter, I think a grandson, a son-in-law, and a daughter-in-law. So basically his whole family was wiped out, and they now are become martyrs. But this is kind of what happened with Jesus. When Khomeini was martyred, it united the country. And again, you'll hear this a lot from Larry Johnson because it's true, and that's why I say it. It's exactly what happened to us after 9/11. We're so shocked. We could have believed green aliens came down and did this, and we would have had a war with them too. It didn't matter. It didn't need to make sense. We didn't need an explanation for what happened to Building 7. We just went, okay, tell us who to hate. Tell us who to hate. Well, the Iranians now, we've killed their pope, basically. He's very much a religious leader. He's the supreme leader of their country for 47 years, and he's actually been in charge for 37 of those 47 years. So that's not the guy you want to kill. They would like to kill the president too, the elected president, because they want to kill everybody. But they're really working on children right now. Because you see what was happening now. For those who've been around, I've been saying this for a while, you're all Gazans now. Well, this is what the Zionist, Rothschild Zionist Israel has planned for you, America. Yeah, for you, for all of us. It's not going to stop. They have total control of our government. So they can absolutely do, and I've recommended everybody do this, read Bibi Netanyahu's book, Fighting Terrorism, because that's exactly his recipe for taking down your, what he calls civil liberties, your freedom, your rights as an American. You can see now you can't talk about Jews. You can't talk about Israel. They want to, certain states now are making laws against speech because you can't talk about that subject. Just the way it is. That's the way it's going. They're coming for the Second Amendment next. Don't doubt that. They call it disarming the Hezbollah, disarming Iran. They're going to come and try to disarm you too. Just you need to be ready for this because this is moving much faster than I thought it would. As I went through all the research on 9/11 and I started to find all this stuff, I was like, well, at first I was just like in denial. No way. No way. But now it's like, it's in big print, big bold print now. You can see, and I've read a bunch of books about how the Mossad operates, how the state of Israel operates. Yeah. It's just an amazing thing to see. It's all playing out, but it's playing out in super fast speed. I think Art Bell called this like the quickening, and it's moving fast. So we are moving fast in a direction of, it appears to be a world war, and it will probably be happening on our soil. If we had any diplomats at all in this Trump administration, I wouldn't make that statement, but we don't. We have warmongering, bloodthirsty Zionists controlling President Trump. Now, there's a lot of people online that think that this is the Epstein file threat, that Bibi or the Mossad has video of him doing things that you don't even want to know about. They are so evil and so dark that Donald Trump is taking us into a world war with ramifications for you at the grocery store, at the gas pump, at your aviation business, the economy is going to shake here worse than 9/11. Remember what happened on 9/11? Nobody wanted to go anywhere. This is just the start, which is why I want to kind of preserve these shows and what's happening. Back to my file here. President Trump last night told ABC News that on Khamenei's death, quote, "I got him before he got me. They tried twice. Well, I got him first." Donald Trump just said that the religious leader of Iran, their Pope basically figure, tried to kill him, Donald Trump, twice. Now, so do you think that 20-year-old kid that we never did learn anything about up in Butler, Pennsylvania, was an Iranian?
I'm sure Iran had absolutely nothing to do with him.
What about that guy that we found out was associated with the CIA, that Ryan Routh in Florida, that never got a shot off, but he was with the CIA in Ukraine? Do you think he was also working for Iran?
I'm sure he had nothing to do with it, but they have told us that Iran was behind those things, and they expect us to believe it.
And there's absolutely no association. Now, since I've been in Iran, I can tell you, in case you haven't heard this show before, when you're in Iran, you are so far away from this world that it's mind blowing. You have to pinch yourself and like, am I still alive? Did I go into another universe? Incredible country. So far away, not a threat to us. But Donald Trump has set it up so that the economy of the world is threatened at this point. Well, moving right along. I have some bits and pieces like that. It's just so insane to hear your president speak like that. You think, are you that stupid? Do you think we're that stupid to believe that 20-year-old kid hasn't even gone to a university? I mean, this kid was a nobody nothing. Donald Trump wasn't even interested to investigate him. We still know nothing about him. We know more about Mohammed Atta 3 days after 9/11 than we know about that guy who actually supposedly got a shot off. But I'm beginning to think that was a setup. I'm beginning to think maybe there was somebody up in a what they call a blind or a hideout in a tree right behind that kid, a professional. And yep, he shot the fireman all right, but I'm not sure he nicked Donald Trump's ear at this point. I'm not sure of that now. I'm not a conspiracy person either, but Donald Trump has proven to be such a shit show and a liar and a manipulator that I think that was done right at the last minute just to get us all on board, because he brought a lot of people on board. Remember, Mark Zuckerberg even said, I have so much respect for him. He came out and said, fight, fight, fight. That to me is starting to smell more and more every day like a Hollywood production. Moving right along to my file here. Reuters saying U.S. intelligence assessments indicate that 0 defections from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, that's the IRGC, have been recorded during the anti-government protests. Let me say that one more time. 0 defections from the Revolutionary Guard have been recorded during the anti-government protests. Reuters also saying on U.S. officials, there are serious doubts about the ability of the Iranian opposition to overthrow the regime. I guess Donald is so stupid, and the rest of the Fox people that are running our country, these sick Zionists, that they think if they killed the religious leader, if they killed the Pope, would you stop being Catholic if you are one? If they killed the president of the Mormon Church, would you stop going and stop being a Mormon? No. What kind of thinking is this? What kind of nonsense? Politico reports this. The United States will be able to use British bases in Diego Garcia and Fairford to launch strikes on Iran following the British Prime Minister's decision to grant the U.S. side access to those bases. Now, it's interesting because that he didn't at first say that. Keir Starmer didn't come out first and say that. He was saying just the opposite for a very short period of time. But I'm sure the Mafia Don thug threatened him because that's how they operate. It's really interesting to see what a monster, child killing, not just the RAPE and all of that stuff. Not just that, but the child killing, the genocide supporting monster in the White House. And there's a whole bunch of them. And most of them came out of Fox News. It's really weird. CENTCOM accidentally revealed that the Haifa oil refinery was hit. And then they deleted the tweet. Because, we can't have too much truth eking out here because you're not getting any truth from our government at all, or the media, because the media gets it from them, and they're all controlled by the CIA. Obviously, you don't know that. You probably didn't know that 6 senior CIA officers were killed, did you? Well, I'm finding out that so many proven lies have come out from Trump and his entire administration and our media that I don't believe a word they say. So if I see a conflicting report from Pakistan or from Iran or from China, I'm more apt to think that's probably the truth. And you probably should think that way too, because they're being proven liars day in and day out, not just on the campaign stage. No new wars. I'm going to get us out of the wars. I'm going to stop the Ukraine war before I even get into the White House. No foreign wars. All of Donald Trump's old tweets and old speeches are coming up to bite him in the behind right now. Okay, so major events. 3 American servicemen were killed in Kuwait as a result of Iranian drone strikes that bypassed the security zone of the base. I think that means bypass the air defenses. Huh? Yeah. So watch how they speak, because these bases in the last month and a half were hardened, so to speak, were brought in with extra Patriot missile batteries and this kind of air defense for this, because again, Bibi told Trump on New Year's Eve at Mar-a-Lago, this is what they were going to do. And Trump could not get out of it. He's doing this for Israel. He's doing this for Bibi Netanyahu, not you. F you. That's how he feels, like, apparently. Because wait till you see what's going to happen next month. kind of fascinating stuff. Hezbollah, the Lebanese Hezbollah, this is like the militia. Hezbollah means party of God, by the way. The Hezbollah has entered the war after launching drone incursions into northern Israel. This happened last night, U.S. time, and potentially was responsible for the attack on the British base Akrotiri in Cyprus. Israeli responses have been swift, and assassination strikes have been carried out immediately. And let me just say this because it's really important. I'm sure I have this put somewhere else in this file because this file is huge. An explosion happened. At first it came out as a possible plane crash at this British air base in Cyprus. Then it came out as an explosion, and then it came out as an Iranian drone. Okay, but who's the next target for Israel? Hezbollah in Lebanon. So a few hours later, that story broke through Reuters, also a Zionist-controlled Israeli mouthpiece. It's Hezbollah that did it, not Iran. Not Iran. No, they can't put a missile that far. They can't put a drone out that far. It had to be Hezbollah. And ever since that 2-3 hour window, Israel has been bombing the hell out of Lebanon. See how it works? We're just going to call you an anti-Semite and then we'll come after you. Once we give you a label or say you did something like, 9/11 maybe. You see what they do? This is what they're doing. So you have to be able to see through it. President Trump has now stated that the war could last 4 to 5 weeks. After it was previously planned that the operation would end within 4 days. Now, that 4-day mark, that's been mentioned before by a lot of the people I've just mentioned on the YouTube channels that we've been following, that we could run out, as in we, like our aircraft carrier and their support group, we could run out of air defense missiles or missiles to attack Iran within as soon as 4 days. So keep that in your mind. We're starting day 3 right now. Because once they run out of air defenses, then every missile Iran launches to, whether it's an aircraft carrier or it's Israel or a base, the bases are pretty well taken out right now, they're going to get through. Okay? 4 days. They originally thought they could do this in 4 days. This is a country the size of, if you just close your eyes and visualize a map of the United States, if you were to overlay Iran, you would cover the state of Washington, part of Oregon, California, Nevada, part of Idaho. That's how big it is. Roughly 95 million people. So can you imagine somebody, actually the Chinese come over, the Russians come over, they think they could take out that entire western part of a third of the United States in 4 days, or 4 days. Yeah, we can do that in 4 days. Who is telling Donald Trump this kind of crap? How stupid can he be to believe that? Look at how huge this country is. One of the things that I was really shocked about when I went there is how big it is, how diverse it is. And when you go, which I did, to each area of that country, if the food's even different. The geography is different. There's mountains, there's desert, there's tropical areas. It's unbelievable, and it's so immense. I mean, just imagine, you could spend an entire year vacationing around Oregon, Washington, California, Nevada, and part of Idaho. It's a big chunk of land. Yeah, we can do that in 4 days. Okay, well, what else are they telling Donald Trump? I don't know. How stupid can this guy be? Well, I can believe Pete Hegseth would be this stupid. I mean, this guy was a weekend loser on Fox News. American Israeli operations have relentlessly struck targets in Iran, including the Iranian state-sponsored broadcasting headquarters, the IRIB, their television channels and radio. Reports indicate as many as 35 airstrikes in 30 minutes. Now, there's a few interesting targets. Besides children, they went after their news broadcast to get emergency information out to the people. It would have been smart of them, I don't know if they did or didn't do this, to have things set up outside of those buildings because they were already bombed 8 months ago when we bombed them. But they did strike that. They are trying to take down the police. They're bombing the police headquarters in every municipality in Iran. They are taking down the secret police, the Basiji. They are taking down normal, regular police and firefighters, emergency people. These are the same people that the CIA Mossad was attacking a couple months ago in December, January, when they tried to do that color revolution there by using a bunch of the Shah's sons, monarchists, to try to take down the government. It's not going to happen. Once they killed the Ayatollah, they had roughly 25 to 34 million guesstimates, people in the streets in support of their government. Actually, that was before they killed him. So it's a very flawed plan, whatever they're trying to do. Moving right along, the American base this is in Iraq, in the Kurdistan region, Erbil, E-R-B-I-L, has received barrages of ballistic missiles from Iran. The base seems to have taken a large amount of damage. In addition, there was an attempted capture of the U.S. embassy by protesters in Baghdad. This is ongoing as we speak. Multiple casualties have been reported from the protesters and local police forces. Baghdad is one of the, if not the largest embassies we have. It probably won't make it much longer because people are very angry now that they've killed the Ayatollah. It's very offensive. People are very angry. Not just in Iran, not just in Iraq, but all over the world. Furthermore, Iraqi militants, now these are Shia, pro-Iranian militants, which we're going to all be called militant protesters, or patriots, or I'm sure they'll have a name for us. Insurgents, probably. Have also launched drones at the Victoria base, which is a U.S. base that is very near and kind of connected to the Baghdad International Airport. I think it's destroyed right now. They worked on that all night while I was trying to get some sleep, and it was very difficult because I am so into getting all of this in my Telegram channels. I woke up I had fallen asleep on Friday night, and something I don't usually do early, around, I don't know, by 11:30 or so, 12:30 or something, I was asleep, and all of this started happening. I woke up a few hours later to something like 3,500 Telegram notifications. I'm like, uh-oh, something bad's happening. So I kind of have not been sleeping very much, just watching the stuff because my Telegram channels just are just reporting so much of this stuff from all over. But we've united Muslims around the world, something that no other president could have done. And pretty soon, with what's happening, we're going to see a change up with some of the Gulf states that had become, I don't know, maybe bribed, maybe blackmailed, and maybe just money hungry to deal with business with Israel, the Abraham Accords. I think we're about to see a change up there as well. Now, Iran said this for a couple months now. If you attack us, U.S. bases in the neighboring region, in the neighboring countries, will be attacked. Those are like little chunks of America, those bases, kind of like an embassy. You go onto a base and there's I did this when I flew, so I can tell you. And I know, RJ, you grew up near a couple of them. You go on the base and there's a Wendy's or Popeyes or, I met some fast food that wasn't around where I was living. I'm like, what is this? Well, it's from way down south or a different area, Popeye's chicken being one of those. And I'd never seen one or heard of one. And all the people I flew with, they're like, oh yeah, this stuff's really good. And it's in the base. And it's just like you're in America, basically. So they said this, they told everybody, they told the governments, the weeks leading, even the days leading up to this attack, that if Israel and the United States attack Iran, we will retaliate by attacking the bases on your country, the bases, the U.S. bases. Nobody held that back. Nobody should have been surprised. So Iran, enforcing their blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, has struck 5 tankers operating within the range of the strait. In addition, Bloomberg, another kind of biased opinion, reports that oil prices increased by 13%. This was yesterday, Sunday. Prices are around $80 per barrel as the result of the closure of the straits.
Well, in addition to that, Lloyd's of London, who's the general insurer of all these oil carriers, they've decided they're not going to insure them anymore. So that means they aren't going to be able to run. I mean, you can't have millions of barrels of oil in a ship that is not insured.
Yeah.
And so just alone, somebody said over the weekend, they didn't need to close the Strait of Hormuz. They just need to make it so the insurers wouldn't insure these
that's true.
oil tankers, and as a result, the oil would stop.
Yeah, and it has. And they aren't actually enforcing this. They are controlling it, however. I think I sent you a text message last night that they are controlling who can come and go, and China and Russia
and Iran.
And Iran's ships can come and go through the Strait of Hormuz.
So I think originally we thought, well, they'll mine the Strait of Hormuz and nothing will get out. That's not the case.
Not yet.
They just decided who gets to go and who doesn't.
Yeah, they have total control of it now. So let's see, where else do we want to go here? Okay, here's how you tell the news and who's writing the news. Iran continued its, quote, harassment. They have been bombed by the United States and Israel, and they started by bombing a girls' elementary school, killing 170 children under 6th grade, right? So they call this now Iranian harassment of the Gulf countries, including strikes on luxury hotels that are thought to be the temporary residences of American personnel. Okay, let me tell you, in that region, the word they're leaving out is American military and intelligence personnel. These are people that are running the war against Iran. Harassment? I don't know about that. Who got bombed? Iran did. By who? The U.S. and Israel. You see, when you start to see how you can kind of figure out who's running the media when they report something like that. Iran has announced the Ayatollah Ali Reza Arafi will be the interim supreme leader in the wake of Ali Khamenei's assassination yesterday, which was Saturday. So they thought that if they just killed this one religious leader, that the whole elected government would lay down their arms, and the police and the people, shoot me, kill me, hurt me more, daddy. I don't know what the hell these people in the White House are thinking. But this is the opposite of what they thought. They united these people just like they united us on 9/11, after 9/11. Just remember, it wasn't Democrats and Republicans, black and white. It was Americans. And that's what they've done here. They have all become supporters of the government and of the Supreme Leader. And the Supreme Leader had already picked 4 successors to him. They have a like other church organizations. They will have a formal like an election choosing of the actual supreme leader. This guy's just interim. Volleys of Iranian missiles and drones were deployed all over Israel. This was last night. With the death count being 10 plus, by the way, there was a strike earlier that's, I think a little bit more than that. So these numbers are not accurate anymore. With hundreds of injuries and ballistic missiles striking Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Haifa, the Dead Sea, Ranat Gan, and Negev. Those are all areas in Israel. Areas of American and Israeli operations inside Iran, they hit Tehran, Kermanshah, Ahvaz, Bandar Abbas, Tabriz, Abadan, and Bashir. These are all cities in Iran that have been hit apparently by Tomahawk missiles. Now, from what I understood from Alistair Crook, that's they're not bombing with airplanes flying over Iran. These are being launched from the aircraft carriers. And what we heard from Larry Johnson and Colonel McGregor and Danny Davis, they have a very limited amount of these Tomahawks in our entire stockpile.
Well, I think
let alone on these ships.
What they explained is they have a number of tubes, maybe 100 tubes on each one of these destroyers that surround these aircraft carriers. And they can't load them all with Tomahawk missiles. They could if they wanted to, but they have to use half of them for defense
of the
missiles.
Carrier.
And then they use the other half for Tomahawk missiles. So they have already a limited supply. And when they run out, they have to go reload. And they can't do that at sea. They have to go to a port to reload them.
And since the port they would have used was in Bahrain, they can't get through the Strait of Hormuz. Those bases have all pretty much been dismantled and destroyed.
Especially in Bahrain.
Yes, where that was the base of the Fifth Fleet. So they have to go to Diego Garcia. You guys are going to need a map for this. Diego Garcia, or they have to go to, there's another base that's, I think, French or UK, British base just as far away, or India to get resupplied. And that isn't just resupplied in weapons. They need to get food, toilet paper, medicine, everything you would need for a city of 5,000 to 7,000 people. So there's those, and the carrier has to leave when the support ships leave because they can't be sitting there as sitting ducks. They got to go. So in total, Iran has struck these. Now this is of last night. I think it's pretty accurate right now. Of these nations' military bases and assets, the United States, Israel, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, where they killed 3 American servicemen, but a lot more than that are really dead. Qatar, Bahrain, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Oman, Syria, Cyprus, the British Air Base, France, they had a base in the UAE, and Italy, a NATO camp at Ali al-Salem. I think that's in Kuwait, I think. British Prime Minister Starmer confirms that he's transferring assets out of Ukraine to fight against Iran.
And he's not the only one. The rest of the European countries have decided, well, we need to support Israel. So we're not going to deal with Ukraine anymore.
So this is interesting because Zelensky will be stripped pretty much. I mean, he's just not going to get this kind of support money or any weapons because everything's going here. But let's just stop for a second and remember what Donald Trump told us about 2 months ago. He said Donald Trump, was coming to rescue the people, the poor, oppressed people of Iran. He's going to come and help them. Help is on its way, he tweeted. Go read his Truth Social. Go back if you can handle it. If you can handle that degree of BS. Remember, in January, he was saying, we're coming to help you. Where help is on the way. And then it changed from that since their little mini color revolution didn't work. And the reason it didn't work is the Iranian government shut down the internet. Starlink. They couldn't communicate with the MI6 and Mossad and CIA, all those guys on the ground. Then they found them. So they got rid of a bunch of them. Remember, Donald Trump said he stopped 837 executions. That's not true at all. They're going to be executed. So there's just so much insanity. But that's what he was going to do. Don't forget, we're coming to help you. Help is on its way. And Lindsey Graham did the same thing. And you can find these videos still out there. I'm not lying to you. And then from there, they decided that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. However, the Ayatollah, that man they just murdered, and most of his entire family, he was the one guy above all the elected officials that in 2003 said Iran will not ever have a nuclear weapon. He's gone now. So his fatwa is gone. So if a real religious freak comes in charge of Iran, they're going to have a nuclear weapon. Okay? See how it works? How dumb is this? How dumb is this? He was the one guy. He was a very docile, humble, peaceful person who said, that's not for us. That's evil. The nuclear weapons.
But Donald Trump doesn't care what the Ayatollah says. And he doesn't care what Tulsi Gabbard says the Ayatollah says. He just doesn't care about that.
Yeah.
And so this is where we are. This is where we are. This is what we get. When you don't care about truth, you get error.
Yeah. So public relations from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard statement this morning. The Revolutionary Guard's integrated air defense system intercepted and destroyed a sophisticated American MQ-9 drone in the skies over Isfahan. I think we've lost 3 of those actually by now. And these are the drones the Houthis were taking down, and they're somewhere between $32 and $39 million each. Cha-ching! So we're not just bleeding out money. The printers must be going printing dollars, man. Your dollar is going to be worth nothing here. And maybe that's Trump's plan, because he's going to force you all to buy Trump Bitcoins so they can have you under the Chinese credit score. A B-2 stealth bomber now this is a report that came in 8 p.m. Eastern last night, Eastern USA. A B-2 stealth bomber was reportedly shot down by an Iranian S-300 surface-to-air missile. More confirmation coming. I haven't seen more confirmation since that, but I did just take note because I did see something downed, and I've seen a lot of airplane crashes. I mean, part of being a flight attendant, you study crashes for mainly survival, but you see a lot of film from people that were at an airport or were somewhere filming when a plane went down. When I saw this film that took place somewhere near Damavand, toward the Caspian Sea, I believe this was. It made a huge fireball. Did you see that, RJ?
I did see the fireball.
And so
it wasn't a drone.
Yeah, and so it was an aircraft. It was either a fueler or a fighter full of fuel. I could just say that the fireball was immense. So again, we are not getting good information. I'm giving you information. You can do with it what you like, but you got to guarantee yourself this. Write it down on a Post-it note in case you forget. The United States government is lying to you about everything. They didn't just start with 9/11. Israel's top security official Ali Larijani said, quote, "We will have no negotiations with the United States." Earlier, Al Jazeera had quoted Wall Street Journal claiming that Ali Larijani has started new efforts to resume talks with Washington. Larijani says, Trump has plunged the region into chaos with false hopes, and he is now worried about further losses among American forces. With his illusionary actions, he charged the self-made slogan, the self-made slogan, America first to Israel first, sacrificed American soldiers for Israel's seizure of power. And with new lies, he is once again imposing the price of his personality cult on American soldiers and their families. Today, the Iranian people are defending themselves. The Iranian armed forces did not initiate the invasion. Blackwater's founder Eric Prince, remember him, former Navy SEAL, CIA goon? He says this, I'm not happy with all of this. Well, boo-hoo, billionaire. I don't think it was in America's interest, really. This will open a Pandora's box leading to chaos and the destruction in Iran. Who will seize power? Well, maybe they won't ever let go of power, because who's really going to be destroyed is Israel. And if you're paying attention, what's been going on for the last couple years in every capital city around the world are pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel campaigns and protests. You've all been seeing it, I'm sure, no matter what country you're in. When your warmongering doesn't even have the approval of Eric Prince, the ultimate warmonger, it's not a good sign. But again, he's kind of promoting who will take over from Iran, because we're going to kill all the leadership, because that's how you do it. That's a democracy. Iranians voted for Pezeshkian after the other president was, Raisi was killed in a helicopter crash. Probably a Mossad operation too. We are waiting for confirmation, but there are reports of an American plane crash in Kuwait. This is not official yet, but by the time I saved that and turned the page, confirmed. An American F-15E Strike Eagle has crashed in Kuwait. Now, here's where this gets really interesting. By midnight, smoke rising from the American embassy in Kuwait. I don't have videos for this, but some of it has videos, some of it doesn't, but wild. A U.S. official has told Reuters, another Zionist outfit, that the IRGC, Iranians, officially are unlikely to voluntarily capitulate. Oh dear. Donald Trump's plan is going tango uniform, as they would say. The Washington Post says the mood inside the Pentagon is, quote, intense and paranoid. Pentagon leaders worry the U.S. will expend its air defense stockpiles and the conflict will, quote, spiral out of control. This is precisely what Pentagon Joint Chiefs Chair Dan Kane warned about last week.
And he was shut up. He wasn't allowed to talk about this.
So this is what we're talking about, the 4 to 7 days of weapons on the ships that we have surrounding Iran. And the air defense system that is fending off the Iranian missiles into Israel. So we're seeing that there's a little time frame here where if Iran can keep their powder dry, so to speak, and just keep using, these are the first and second generation weapons they're using. They haven't even pulled out the good stuff. Just a couple hypersonic missiles have been used. They're just throwing the old stuff. Even some old drones came out just to deplete the air defenses around Israel. That is going to be the ultimate target. The U.S. consulate in Erbil, this is in Iraq, has been completely destroyed. The U.S. base in Bahrain was fully taken out. The Israeli Ministry of Security building, along with a building belonging to Mossad's intelligence unit, 8200, were hit in last night's attacks. The Gulf Keystone Oil operations at the Shikhan field in Iraq, and this is the Kurdistan region, have halted And as a precautionary measures, this is a big pipeline area. Kuwaiti Ministry of Defense says several U.S. military aircraft crashed this morning. We confirmed the complete safety of their crews. They ejected. I saw two aircraft, doing a flat spin last night right before I went to sleep. I woke up. There's 3 of them that have gone down. Iran is saying they've shot them down. Kuwait's saying we shot them down. The U.S. shot them down. Friendly fire out of the base. We lost 3 aircraft. So that's kind of crazy. And here's another issue, just in case you don't know this. Because Iran is such a big country, and that whole area is so big, you really just need to get on like Google Earth or someplace where you can put a pin in and just see how far away it is. Because the, what do they call it? The attack radius of a fighter jet is like 600 miles, depending upon how loaded up they are with weapons. 300 miles in, 300 miles out before they have to be refueled. And when they're refueled, they're around 24,000 feet. So it's really easy to pick them off. And the refuelers are DC-10s, not anymore. There's old 707s, 757 tankers, and 767s, just like our commercial planes, but they've just been turned into tankers. So they're big birds. They're big targets. Here's a statement from the IRGC. This is relatively new, but they're already into the 11th wave in this time. The IRGC, the Iranians post this out. So if you're on like a Telegram channel and you start to see this, they said the 10th wave, now they're in the 11th, of True Promise 4 opened wide fire corridors over the occupied territories, that's what they call Israel, through Khyber missile drills. Among the 10th wave targets were a targeted strike on the Israeli regime complex in Tel Aviv. This would be like Bibi's office. Attacks on military and security centers in Haifa, and strikes on east of Quds. That's the West Bank area. We had previously warned about expanding the plan to target the enemy, Israel's, bases in the U.S., and lands, and announced that sirens in occupied territories, Israel, would never stop. Now, when Israel knows missiles are incoming, they launch these sirens, and everybody runs to a bomb shelter. We now advise residents of the occupied territories, Israel, to stay away from military, security, and government sites and to leave the occupied lands immediately. Also, breaking news this morning, Germany is seriously considering joining the war with Iran. So what's Germany got to do with any of this? Are they coming to help the people? We're coming to help you. Here we come to save the day. What does Germany have to do with this? Is NATO being brought in because we're losing the war already?
So you're saying that Germany's coming in on Israel's side?
Yeah.
Not Iran's side?
No, yeah. The war against Iran. European gas prices have risen 22% by the AFP, but that's not true anymore. This is like before I even got out of bed. That's old news right now. Breaking: former Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is alive. Yesterday they reported he had been killed. They struck his residence, but apparently he wasn't there. He was not killed in an Israeli assassination strike. Now, why did they hate this guy? He was the man behind the JCPOA. You remember? He's also the guy that called us the great Satan, and Israel the little Satan. Guess he was right on, wasn't he? The IRGC launched drone strikes on Amazon's Web Services data center in the UAE, and it's been damaged a lot. A U.S. warplane in Kuwait was shot down by friendly fire, officials confirm. media are reporting that Iran has successfully shot down 3 American fighter jets near the border with Kuwait. CNN has confirmed the news, citing Kuwaiti officials. You have to look on a map. They don't really border Kuwait, so I'm not quite sure where this is. Probably where the Iraq and Kuwait and Iran all meet, up at that end of the Gulf. The Washington Post, citing officials, indicates the mood, I think we already talked about this, inside the Pentagon, intense and paranoid. The vast number of retaliatory attacks and the array of sites being targeted, including non-military sites in Arab nations. Well, they're non-military, but they're not non-intelligence, which is basically if you put the CIA in a fancy hotel, it's going to get hit. And that's what they're not targeting tourists. They're targeting these hotels because the CIA's there. You probably never even heard that 6 CIA senior officials have been killed. And I'm kind of thinking that we'll hear about this from Larry Johnson, who still has friends in that business, the monkey business. Cyprus. Now, this is really fascinating. Cyprus effectively surrenders after a barrage of Iranian missiles hit British RAF bases on the island. The president of Cyprus, I will never pronounce his name, so let's just move right along, announced that our country is not participating in any way, nor does it intend to become part of any military operation. Now remember, Iran had previously warned all neighboring countries to close down local NATO bases on their territory or risk being targeted by Iranian missiles. And you can see NATO is being brought into this war with before 3 days is up. We're losing that badly. We have to have the French come. That's bad. The French and the Germans and the British now are coming to save Donald Trump, but that's not going to help because they're so weakened, if you've been paying attention through the whole Ukraine thing. They have exhausted their military. They've exhausted their stockpiles just like we have. And we're out of bullets. And what's going to happen then? Because we're going to see that within the next probably week or two. Iran continues targeting Saudi Arabian oil infrastructure, but that isn't true. They have come out and said they didn't do this, but the Aramco oil fields were struck. When I saw the video, they were on fire. They have come out since then and said that they didn't do this, but that leads me to believe that it was the Houthis in Yemen who are awful close. And you just need to have your map out to see how close they are. And also the oil fields of Saudi Arabia, the people there have a tendency, the population, to be Shia Muslim. So they're more upset than maybe a Wahhabi Sunni Muslim might be. That the Ayatollah was murdered. It's just saying, just so you kind of understand how all that comes together. Satellite images confirm the destruction of the U.S.-made AN/FP-132 radar system in Qatar. That's at the base Al Udeid Air Force Base, which is a huge base right in this center of the city. Basically, it's actually not very, it's just there. If you look at the map, you can easily see it. It's not hidden. The radar system cost you, American taxpayers, more than $1.1 billion. It is gone. So the satellite images coming out are, a lot of them coming out from China, and boy, are they high definition, and they're going all over social media. I've seen them on X and on Telegram both. They're very high definition. You can see exactly. You can probably see the aircraft insignia on the top of the wings. I mean, super high definition. The Pentagon tells Congress that there was no sign that Iran was going to attack the United States first. Sources say, and this is coming from Reuters, and this is in reference to Donald Trump yesterday coming out and lying. and saying we had to attack them because they were going to attack us first, which is something the Shia would not do. And they said that. So he got caught, and the Pentagon has turned on Donald Trump. This is like since midnight last night, okay? Just so you know, this is hot off the press stuff. Wall Street Journal reporting Washington fears that Iran could destroy all energy and water sources in the Gulf and escalate the conflict into something resembling a third world war. Well, let me just fix that for the Wall Street Journal. World War III has started. Has started. If it can be stopped, it won't happen through Donald Trump. Let me just say that. There's nobody. There's no diplomats like Jeffrey Sachs. No, we have put Jeffrey Sachs in there. Maybe we have hope, but they won't. They are full of complete freaking idiot Zionist warmongers. This will not stop. It's not resembling a third world war. The third world war has started. If you've been here behind the galley curtain, you're probably not shocked to hear that. The Hebrew Broadcasting Authority said the occupation authorities have decided, which is the occupation is Israel, has decided to keep Ben Gurion International Airport closed until next Friday. Okay, so, well, there goes the tourism from Israel as well. European gas prices increased by up to 30 to 45%. The London Stock Exchange Group, I'm still in bed reading through this morning, right? London Stock Exchange Group, British natural gas prices rose by 42.55% in just 3 days. It is expected that the occupation army will exceed within 24 hours the amount of ammunition that it fired in the entire 12-day war. Let me repeat this. In just 3 days, we're just starting actually the third day. It is expected the occupation army, Israel, will exceed within 24 hours the amount of ammunition it fired in the entire 12-day war. So they're burning through the ammo real quick.
And that 12-day war, they were begging for the United States to ask Iran to stop that war. So where do you think they are at the moment?
Yeah, this 4-day thing. Well, 4 days is going to be coming up real quick. I guess this is pretty insane. It's just like I don't even know what to think. It's if you sit and listen to Doug McGregor and Larry Johnson and these military, even Scott Ritter, once he's medicated and under some control, Scott gets a little bit wound up when he sees how close we are to a nuclear holocaust, because he's a nuclear war specialist guy, right? I think what I'm going to do here is run this out for just a few more minutes here, and then I'm going to just continue on part 2 here. So I don't want these files to be too big. Iran targets the oil tanker Stena Imperative flying the U.S. flag. Again, this just happened 3 hours ago. While in Bahrain's port, setting it on fire. The ship was carrying mid-range products registered under the U.S. Maritime Administration Tanker Security Program. Iran's Tasnim agency, this is again a news agency in Iran. The ship trying to pass illegally through the Strait of Hormuz was targeted. It is now sinking. Iran targets the oil tanker. Okay, that came in twice. Natural gas prices in Europe have now jumped about 42% after Qatar halts production of natural gas. Chinese foreign minister says, quote, "We support Iran in protecting its sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity." And you should pay attention to that statement. Even though you're not hearing this from the mainstream media, this is how a major world war starts. They are very stealthily involved in this war right now. Well, when you hear the Chinese make a statement, you should listen, and nobody in the White House is, so you should. This morning, somebody posted this. Child Molesters and Killers Coalition just bombed a children's playground in Tehran. I didn't see a death count on that yet, but I did see that it was not a pretty sight. European EU gas prices keep rising, now crossing the plus 50% mark. Okay, I'm going to close this one and just keep going on round 2 here, just because I want to keep these files relatively short, and I'm going to continue to do these. I'll do this with episode 1 and 2 and 3. And so these daily news broadcasts will be about this war, and I'm just going to save these over, probably do that on a podcast or something over on YouTube as well, because I think it's important that people really pay attention to what's going on. And I know you're not getting the truth, and I know that because RJ's brother is now texting me. I was like, "What's really going on? Is this true? Is that true?" And Donald Trump is just he'll say anything. RJ, he will. What do you think? I mean, the guy will say anything. He will say anything that's just nonsense.
History to Donald Trump is about an hour and a half. And so he will say anything that is projecting the future in his mind. And his mind is pretty messed up.
Yeah, truly. Okay, we'll be right back.